Well, Jen and Ben, I spoke with members of the police department both on and off camera today, and a lot of them told me they feel tired. They say they feel burned out, and some of them said they don't feel empowered, that they're able to do their job to the best of their ability. We've all seen the images.
It's so common that sometimes you can't realize if it's a gunshot or a fireworks.
And heard the pain.
Stop with the gun violence. Stop it.
Hartford residents now caught in a different kind of crossfire.
Our members are tired and frustrated.
A verbal spat between unionized officers and top police brass.
I sympathize with that.
Union President Officer Anthony Rinaldi spoke exclusively to Fox 61. He says for the traditional weekend of the Puerto Rican parade, officers received this message, forcing them into work, some pulling 23-hour shifts. Rinaldi says that's not unusual.
Not that we expect Chief Doty to understand or relate to the effort shown by our officers, as he was on vacation in Florida.
I think it's kind of a cheap shot.
Chief Doty points out that due to COVID, this year the city did not sanction a Puerto Rican parade, telling Fox 61 there was little indication the crowds would escalate.
To say, well, in hindsight, being 2020, you should have canceled your vacation.
Since a year ago, the ranks of Hartford's police department have thinned from 426 officers down to 400. They have a budget for 475. Police brass cited COVID retirements, but the union says quality officers are jumping ship for positions in other departments. The union calls on Chief Doty to wake up.
They could change the mandatory minimums, the staffing levels for each shift.
Doty says he just changed the forced overtime policy. Effective immediately, Hartford PD will rely on officers who volunteer for overtime first, then begin forcing officers in order of least to most seniority, with every officer getting one refusal until that list resets.
To the residents, as an administrator, I will continue to do what I have to do to not only keep the residents safe, but to keep the officers safe. I would rather be answering questions about how inconvenienced my officers are than answering questions as to why one of my officers has been hurt.
And to put this all into perspective, I was speaking with a gentleman who's a lifelong resident of Hartford today, and he lives in a home on Bliss Street with his 2-year-old granddaughter. And he says that he's been hearing many shots and that he lives in that home. It was nearly struck by bullets, and that ultimately the residents of Hartford are the ones who suffer in all of this. You'll hear more from him coming up on the news tonight, starting at 5. We're live in front of the Hartford Public Safety Complex. Matt Caron, Fox 61 News.